pleased I found the place, actually.
Did you get lost?
No, it was a bit of a jaunt coming across, actually. Traffic was...
Where did you have to come from?
Finchampstead in Berkshire.
Well, thanks for coming.
No, well, thank you for the opportunity.
Now, I have got another appointment at about 10:30ish, so I might have to dash, but you've met Simon, I believe.
Yes, I did. I met Simon about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Had a good meeting, found lots of information out from him.
That always scares me.
So I'm going to allow you to put it right.
Yes, all right. Okay, so you had a chat with Simon. I mean, what did he tell you about our little company then?
Sure.
That's always a good starting point.
No, absolutely. Let me tell you what I understood from the meeting, what I gained from it. That in principal terms, you operate a company that produces mannequins. There are two problems with that. One is that you produce mannequins in the Far East. You have a competitive marketplace at the end of the day where the Eastern Bloc companies which offer, I'll use the term, a slightly inferior product, but can get to market faster because they manufacture in Europe. And the issue also that I think you face is predominantly in transportation terms is then bringing the product into the UK, clearing through customs, which can offer you two distinct problems. One is that could delay it. Two, at the end of the day, you're having to over-manufacture to a point of 3%. In order to compensate for any damage that may be done once customers are sifting through, looking for whatever customs look for these days. So in real terms, those are the issues that I gained from Simon's conversation. If there's anything that I've missed in that, then please, fill in the gaps, because as you're aware, we've done a proposal based on that information. Excuse me one moment.
Yeah, problems, I'm not sure, Simon always looks at the negative side. I'm not necessarily sure that they're problems. I think what we have, obviously we've been around for a long time, we know this business very well. Our relationships with the Far East are extremely strong. We're a very tight-knit sort of community, if you like. We do consider ourselves to be very much a sort of family unit. I think it's not so much problem. Certainly being in the Far East is not a problem, because that's always been the most cost-effective solution for us, in that we can get the quality of the product at a very cost-effective price. So I don't see that as a problem. And the Far East is sort of so firmly embedded in our culture that would be, that's the. I think there's sort of efficiencies can be tightened. I think that's the way that I see us looking at this. In essence, what we have works very well. Mm-hmm. The market's growing very quickly. We have to react to that. I think it's also the demands of our customer base is quite tricky. So those are, if you like, they're putting a little bit of pressure on us in that we need to respond a bit more quickly.
Let me just draw that one out a little bit further, if I may, in terms that Simon did mention to me that you have for this year, in particular in your business plan, a growth of around 5%.
Over 2 years, yeah.
Over 2 years. When you talk about issues in terms of what affects your business and the way that you can go to market and, let's say, keep your customers satisfied in terms of the performance that you can provide, where do you see the main issue coming? Is it purely the transportation issue? Is it a supply and demand issue? Is it the fact that you have to react quickly in the marketplace?
We do have to react quickly. I think the market has changed a lot. The whole retail model has changed considerably. And if you look at the likes of Debenhams, for example, they're producing mannequins that are now size 16. Suddenly every retailer wants a size 16 mannequin. And they want it now. Now, typically, you probably know how we operate, but typically a mainstream manufacturer and supplier of mannequins would issue their own ranges, probably 2 a year. And we obviously do a lot of bespoke work, but the bespoke work is beginning to increase because there is this increasing demand from retailers who want different mannequins turned around very, very quickly.
Okay.
They're also moving away from traditional high street models. There are more smaller outliers, and they want different types of models. They want smaller mannequins. They want more busts as opposed to full body. So there are lots of industry pressures, as well as our own set of pressures, if you like, to deliver quality quickly.
I see. That's a very eloquent way of explaining where the situation sits. Let me just then take that one step forward. You've looked at my proposal, I understand.
Yeah, I haven't got the proposal yet.
That's not a problem. Let me just explain in simple terms where we see we can fit. And we would look on this as a pure business partnership. In terms of the transportation between the point of manufacture and what your operation works for now, which is, as I understand it, product is loaded into the container, it's delivered into the UK, it's then custom cleared, so it's unpacked, repacked. It then ends up into your warehouse, which I believe is in London. And then from there, that point is then distributed out to your customer base. Part and parcel of global logistics services allows us to step in between those services and, if you like, take those services on board as a complete unit. So what we could offer for you in real terms is a simplified logistics process where we take that ownership away, we run it on your behalf, you have full insight into that with an electronic view of where your product is in terms of its point of origin to the point that it goes to the customers. We can deliver direct to customer if you want. And at the same time, we can handle all of the quality control and electronically clear through customs whilst your products are in transit. So that should shorten that time frame down and speed up the process. It should also simplify the process. The major benefit to you as a company, particularly in terms of looking at the over-manufacturing cost and the speed to client as you react to constant change within the retail sector, means that you could actually improve and speed up that process dramatically by allowing us to deliver direct to your customer.
How fast? How much time would we save?
In real terms, it's very difficult to quantify because we have no control over the way your process works at the moment, and we have a limited view on how it processes. But I would assume that we could cut the time frame down from a delivery point of view, if we're delivering direct to the customer with all those services added, somewhere between 10, 15, 20%. If we look in real terms then at sort of pound note value, that should save you the 3% over manufacturing costs in real terms immediately. It means that we're acting as a hub for you in delivering direct to customers. There is the ability for you to scale down your warehousing model at this moment in time, therefore actually improving the operational costs of the business in immediate terms.
So there'd be less need for as much distribution space.
Correct.
At both ends, China and here.
Absolutely both ends, yes. I mean, we, as you know, as a company, we operate on a worldwide basis. And we have hubs sitting in the major ports and the major excess ports and import places. So we could use our facilities to facilitate the warehousing, both at the manufacturing end and also at the distribution end.
Oh, and I mean, quality is the big issue for us.
Yes.
I worry about handing over any major part of that whole delivery cycle, because typically our account managers are there all the way through that process. So when they come into the UK, we're quality checking, and I just if we removed, or how are we included within that loop? That's my concern.
No, I understand that, and I think it's a very real concern that you should have, because the obvious point that you need to maintain is the empathy you have with customers and the quality aspects of your delivery and your product, and that reflects on you as a company. We would include your people along with our logistical people to actually understand how your business model works, what they look for, and over a period of time, we would, as you got more confident about what we could do, we would take more and more of that on board ourselves. So it's a true partnership in the terms there is going to be a learning curve for both of us in some respects. But I see that working really well, where we actually can allow your person into our side of the business, teach them how we're doing it, and at the same time we can learn from him. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we maintain that quality aspect all the way through the process. In realistic terms, it should be a seamless process. From a customer point of view, your customer's point of view, it should be transparent. It just means that we're a delivery arm and a fulfillment arm for you on your behalf.
Are you working with any companies in China at the moment?
We work with a number of major companies, both in Shanghai and in certain areas. Both some that do supply the retail industry, some that supply the computer industry, obviously, So we have probably in excess of, I don't know, 40 or 50 companies we work with in Shanghai.
Obviously, because we've got a joint venture with our suppliers,
Yes.
and so it's not just they're not just a manufacturer who happens to sort of fulfil orders for us. That relationship is key to our business.
I saw that, yes.
And I think it's important that that relationship is maintained. And I'm just wondering what sort of system you have on the ground in China that can really foster and maintain that relationship.
Well, we have a full-blown sales office in Shanghai, and also account managers. So we would actually appoint account managers at both ends of your business to monitor that business, make sure, report back to you on a monthly, quarterly basis, as you would need to do in real time. You'll have access to our electronic mechanisms, so you can check all the process. So we have a full logistics team there, which should maintain your quality aspects without any problem whatsoever. And we have over 50, 60 years of experience in doing this.
Okay. What sort of assurances do we have? I mean, I suppose that's the other issue I have is if I'm handing this over to you on a much more individual basis, because you would have much more control over a part of our logistics than we've currently released so far. What assurances do I have that quality is going to be maintained, and what sort of comeback do I have if suddenly we find that consignments are arriving damaged or short or not on time?
Absolutely, I think that's a very valid point. The last thing we want to do is put your business at risk in any way, shape or form. You have to be confident in the fact that we can perform in exactly the same way we do, and within that we have a partner charter which we will sign with you, where there are penalty clauses on us should we fall foul of any shortages. There are obvious things in there we have no control over. One is the weather, which we're suffering from a little bit in the UK at the moment. But in real terms, we would set a series of criteria out that's agreed with you, that you jointly sign off, and if we don't meet those criteria, there are penalty clauses you can impose.
You say that. I mean, who do I deal with? Do I deal with you, or is there a tier above you? I mean, who is my main point of contact, and is there sort of consistency? As you know,
Yes,
we work. Everybody has access to our team here, and we're very careful about not sort of swapping and changing, so that if a client deals with one account manager, that's who they deal with. And that's followed all the way through the system. So there is that peace of mind, and I think you mentioned the word actually earlier, which is confidence, and I think again that's paramount. Who would we deal with?
Your first point of contact will always be me on a daily basis or on a weekly basis as needs. We have a team of people there from a customer services point of view. If one of the services runs around, I in turn have a colleague that works closely with me, so that if I'm unavailable at any time, you can always talk to them. So there's a whole team of people behind me and above me at a senior board level that you can have full access to. We have no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay. And as you said, we at the moment are having to add sort of around 3% to our costs. 15, you mentioned 10 to 20% time reduction. Have you got examples of that? I mean, have you got a client where, for example, you have sort of saved that amount of time?
I can send you, if you would like, 4 or 5 customer references that operate on a similar basis to you, and by all means choose which one you want to speak to, or a number of.
Okay.
And I'd rather do it that way than actually say, yes, there's one in particular I'd like to talk to, because it always looks a little bit convoluted in that respect, that I'm forcing you down that road.
Okay, perfect.
So I'd rather give you a choice.
Now, in terms of price,
yes,
is there a minimum term contract, and how long is it?
We have a fixed term contract of 1 year. The break points in that is the first 3 months you have the ability to break that contract with 1 week's notice. Following that, it's a 90-day break period over that first 12 months. There are obviously opportunities for you to sign on a longer basis once we've completed that first 12 months, and there are some financial gains in doing that.
And what your financial gains? What are we talking about in terms of discounts?
We're offering discounts in terms of 15-20% if you would sign for a 2-year period, up to a maximum of 30% over a 3-year to 5-year fixed term. Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
We've covered quite a lot of ground in a very short space of time. Are there any issues that we have not covered for you? Any concerns that you have at this moment in time?
Yes, I always have concerns. Well, I mean, the system we have, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, works well.
Yeah.
That we are renowned for the quality of our product, and our bespoke services are obviously what sets us apart to an extent from the competitors. Although we can turn around, our business is very scalable, as you know, so we can get people in at very short notice, and we can actually produce a maximum of 3,000 products per month from China, and we also have a manufacturing facility here as well. So, we're fairly unique in the field in that the quality is key to the business. And yes, our competitors can churn out products very, very quickly. They can ship them very quickly, and the quality is not necessarily the same. I just want the assurance, if you like, and it is key, the assurance that the quality will not be compromised in any way, shape or form. We've always had problems with customs manufacturing in the Far East.
Yes.
I suppose the confidence will come when I see time being shaved. The process is perhaps streamlined. I mean, we've worked at this process for nigh on 25 years, and we've struggled to find ways of streamlining it effectively enough. And I need that sort of assurance.
Sure. Guarantees are they're meaningless in some respects unless you produce the results at the end of the day. We've had 60 odd years of experience in the logistics industry, and that's what we do for a living. We pride ourselves on the partnerships that we form with our clients, and at the end of the day we maintain that quality aspect to our service, as you do in your business. And I think it's crucial for us that if we're going to give you access to our facilities, that you understand how those facilities can benefit you in real terms. And real terms only comes from the point of view that if your customers are satisfied and they're coming back for repeat business, that's what really matters. And that's our aim, is to make sure at the end of the day that your business is protected, but it's delivering a first-rate service.
How much of your business, just as a matter of interest, is retained business, and how much is new, typically?
We have a retention rate better than 95%, and that's based around what I would class as major customers, corporate customers that have regular business with us. We lose between 3 and 5%. Purely either businesses have either been absorbed, they've merged, or they've moved, or they've changed aspects. And occasionally, obviously, companies go out of business in one way, shape or form. So we have a fairly good retention rate from that point of view. And I think over the last 30 years, that retention rate's been fairly stable.
Now, if I was to go with you, is there anything else I need to know? I need to think. You've obviously had chats before. I need to think about, I suppose, look at the equation. I need to make sure that what we're spending, over what we're spending now, or if it matches favourably, is really going to end up reducing our additional costs in terms of additional unit in consignments and speed. And if it's significantly going to satisfy our customer base, that's I suppose the assurances I need now.
I think there are the three elements that you deliver there are absolutely key to your business as much as ours. If we didn't provide the type of service that I'm offering you at the end of the day and maintain that level of accuracy and quality around our business, we probably wouldn't survive in business either. And particularly in the financial climate there is around the world at the moment, our business constantly is on a shift and change. So we're always looking for ways to improve and for ways to make our services more effective. From a real-time cost-saving point of view, the 5 clients I'm going to give you to speak to have seen similar figures in terms of savings from a times perspective in delivery, and also they can talk to you about in real financial terms about how the impact has gone to their bottom line. From an operational cost point of view, we've seen our clients save between 10, 15, 20% in real terms over the first 12 months. And as that service is evolved and delivered, then that becomes much more of a gain over the second and third year.
And what percentage of clients, for example, new clients,
yes,
that take up the initial first year, stay on? Do you get a drop off after that first year?
No, not really. I mean, I think as I said to you, our retention rate's around 95%. So we do have a 5% drop off point. But it can be a mix of clients, and that's measured across our range of clients, and that can be small businesses with small packages to large or individuals. So, but I mean, speak to the clients. They're the people that are going to sell it for me, realistically, because they've seen exactly how that business can be improved with our service.
Okay. And I think in terms of, do you have your own distribution centres in the UK here,
Yes,
or would you be using ours?
No, we use our own.
Okay, and they are where?
We have scattered in the main provinces: London, Southampton, Birmingham, Manchester, and Glasgow.
Okay, so and then shipping from there to other parts of the world is bread and butter for you, presumably.
It's our lifeblood.
Okay. If we, for example, had a very quick turnaround request, are we limited by what we can do within your contract, or can we say, look, we need this shipment done urgently? How quick can you react?
Dependent on obviously what it is, how big it is, where it's going, and what the criteria is. You know, we have our own aircrafts that fly on a regular basis through most of the major hubs in Europe and the States and Far East. We have sea freight and we have land transport. So we have the ability to actually do something for you incredibly quickly should that requirement be there. I understand from part of the conversation I had with Simon that you design clay models in London and they're then transported to Asia once you have sign off from the client. You know, and if that became a real issue for you where it needs to be there overnight, then we can do that. It's not an issue.
And again, going back to the if the sort of that the actual distribution is taken away from us a little bit, how do we make sure, if you like, that the product that is being dispatched is of the quality that we expect? Because at the moment, we send the model over to China, they manufacture it, then there is a quality control system that allows us to see that before it is dispatched and the client signs it off. Then it's suddenly dispatched from you. We don't see it when it comes to the UK, and that's a slight worry, because as it happens now, it comes into the UK, we quality check every consignment. We know that that's as it should be before it goes to the client, and it's that last sign off.
No, I understand that perfectly, and I think that's a very valid point. And I think I mentioned earlier on, you have an account manager that looks after the quality aspects, so that once it arrives at your depot, I'm assuming he goes and checks.
Yeah.
We would allow that person to come to our terminal and check. Now, we're in London, we're not that far away from your terminal. I don't see that service changing in any way, shape or form. Over the points where we start to gain your confidence, the choice is yours whether we continue down that service or we take over that part of the business for you. That's entirely up to you, and that's part and parcel of the contract, and it's called customs clearing.
Okay. And I know you mentioned the minimum 1 year contract. Is there anything you can do on the price for that first year?
I'm always willing to discuss price. I will not compromise on the service, and therefore my price is reasonably fixed, it's competitive. I believe what you'll see is real term savings in terms of your operating costs and in terms of your delivery time frames. So in real terms, I'm not going to prepared to move too far on price, but talk to my clients and my references first. If we could make a date for another meeting now, I'll come back, we'll discuss the price in its entirety, and hopefully we can sign a contract and shake hands.
All right, how quickly can you get the references to me?
I'll be back in the office in about an hour from now, and I'll email them over to you straight away.
Jolly good. Okay, that'll be perfect. Thank you very much.
Ian, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thanks.
for your time.
All right, no problem. Hope you have a better journey back this time.
Didn't get you